Listen, when it comes to the Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fight, you're talking to somebody who, in April, who was leaning as a Spence fan. The reason why currently I've lost that fandom and have a distaste in my mouth in regards to Spence is for a few reasons. And everybody's going to blame, well, every boy is blaming Bud for taking this fight for December 10th. But here's a couple facts in regards to that. The last term sheet that was sent to Bud Crawford, which was 2 weeks ago, it stated in the contract it was for 2023. Also, Floyd Mayweather specifically said the fight is happening later, which means next year. So, are we going to ignore that fact? If it's for your confirmation bias, you will, but I'm not going to. So, knowing that the term sheet that was last sent over after they finally decided to show transparency was for 2023, is to push Bud to a point where he have a 14 to 15 month layover before he fights. I don't blame him for taking this fight. Would we have liked to seen a better fight? Yes, but for a 50-day notice for a fight, you're not going to be able to get a Boots Ennis or Virgil Ortiz. One, Virgil Ortiz is not going to fight Bud because De La Hoya has already said he's not ready for that type of fight. And then when Boots is with Showtime, now you're dealing with BLK. BLK is a new streaming app, basically. So if they were to partner with Showtime, at the end of the day, Showtime would take over the promotions. And they couldn't afford to foot the bill for Boots and Bud for their first time trying to make a splash in the game. So using common sense, you're going to know that they got to try to find the best opponent at the cheapest cost. And they got a top 10 ranked welterweight to be able to make that happen. Would I prefer to see Spence and Crawford fight right now? Absolutely. But am I going to sit here and say Blood's ducking Spence? No. Bud has wanted to fight Spence for years. So after 4 to 5 months of negotiating and knowing that your fight's not going to be to the next year, I don't see the harm in him to fight in December 10th. You can't turn around and fight in April. Spence should go ahead and fight this mandatory Stanley Onis. It's the same comparable fight that Bud's having. Both of them will have easy victories, will clearly get wins, whether by knockout or unanimous decision, and then they could turn around and fight at the beginning of the second quarter in March or April. And there you go. You have your mega fight. Now, there's a couple things in regards to why this fight is being delayed, this is being speculated. I've taken issue with the circumstances because when you have Ugas, who we all can agree is a lesser fighter than Bud Crawford, getting 50-50 or close to a 50-50 pay-per-view share split. Then you have Mikey Garcia moving up 2 weight classes, getting a 50-50 pay-per-view split. Then you have Danny Garcia getting a 60-40 pay-per-view split, which is going in Spence's way. And the same thing for Porter. And noted that Danny Garcia had no belt either. So knowing that Bud Crawford is your best opponent, this is the biggest fight, why would you offer him a worse contract than all those other 4 fighters? And then give him 35% of a net. So when you effectively give a 35% of a net, you're basically put in a position where he as a promoter has to look at the books to see what his money's coming from, because he's not getting any money outside of that net. So those expenditures have to be accounted for. So that's another delay, and they knew that delay was going to happen, which leads to my next point. The reason why they might most likely delay this fight to make sure it happens in 2023 is PBC. Do they have a dance partner for 2023 guaranteed outside of maybe a short term with Showtime? I don't know. But last time I checked, their Fox deal is expiring. Showtime may get swallowed up in the Paramount deal, considering Paramount has went down over 50% in the last year, and their CEO stepped down. That's telltale signs of what the future could hold for Showtime. So why would Al Heyman risk his main cash cow fighting in November where he could lose while they're in the middle of trying to find negotiation terms for a new dance partner? Is that why Floyd Mayweather's fighting on the zone? To get a feel for the zone? So using common sense, this could be a very key point of why this fight is delayed to 2023. They anticipated the situations and circumstances so they could push it back, so they could be able to get their dance partner and have a pristine Errol Spence still as they negotiate their terms for a new contract with whatever company that may be. Smart move, business-wise. Horrible for the sport of boxing. And this is why I take issue with PBC mostly. My issue with Spence is he didn't fight hard enough to make the fight happen as the A side. Because if he just flat out said, let's make the fight happen, then you would give Bud a 60-40. Just like you did with Porter. Just like you did with Danny Garcia. That's clear A side, clear, and then Bud has no reason to ask to look at the books. I'm reading between the fine lining, guys. And you all say, hey, I'm a Bud buddy. I'm not. You're talking to somebody who was a Spence fan. But I see through the bullshit. And while y'all go on and get at Bud and say all this, the fact of the matter is, yes, Spence's did better pay-per-views. But ever since Mikey Garcia's pay-per-views have went down, people are trying to front with this 250,000 for the Ugas fight. It's a fake number. They only did 129,000 pay-per-view buys. And Porter and Bud did 148, which is 19,000 more. So there's narratives, false stories, and the ability to push the narrative of Bud ducking. But Floyd Mayweather had told us, and nobody listened. And now everybody's up in arms when Bud is taking a fight for December 10th of this year, expecting him not to earn a paycheck as a prize fighter for this whole year. So he's not supposed to make any money this entire year while trying to negotiate a weaker contract when he deserved the respect to at least have a 40% share, simple, straight up and down contract where he didn't have to look at the terms and have to look all that and have a net pay. So you can make excuses. I'm not going to. But all the parties are culpable to some degree. Bud gets no pass from this. Because if I was Bud, which I respected one token for him still trying to make the fight, but he should have walked away from the jump. That's why I say he's culpable. Because we got strung along with this as fans to want to see this fight. And we don't really want to talk about the money and all that, because as fight fans, we'd rather just see the fight. But you got to address it because it's become the issue. And, I don't have a bunch of subscribers. A lot of people ain't going to see this. But at the end of the day, I believe what I'm saying is facts. And it's going to be proven as facts as time it goes along. And with that noted, Unbiased Fan S. Brimley. You know what it is.